Good old Nancy Pelosi is running for re-election, the man with the worst rug in Congress. And is Obama gay? Let's talk about it. Stay tuned. Hey, for the best meat you have ever eaten, check out samsbutchershop.com. Go and shop around. When you go to checkout, enter the promo code T for a 5% discount. Check it out. Hello, everybody, and a happy Monday to you. Trailer Trash Tim coming to you from Alabama. I'm glad you're here with me. Take just a moment, if you will, please, and give me a thumbs up on this video. That would really help old algorithm to get our channel out there more. If you would subscribe to the channel, if you haven't done so yet, I would like to invite you to do that and join our growing channel. I'm really thank you for being here today. Well, it's happened. Everybody's favorite former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. Good old Nancy Pelosi. You just can't get rid of her. She has announced that she's going to run yet again for re-election. Nancy Pelosi is all of 83 years old, but of course, there's nothing wrong with that. We're ruled by geriatrics anymore, right? I mean, she's only 83. Dianne Feinstein, I think, is what, 90, 91? She looks like a shell of a human being, but Nancy says, yeah, I'm going to run again, and this is what she tweeted. She said, now more than ever, our city, she's referring to San Francisco, now more than ever, our city needs us to advance San Francisco values and further our recovery. A couple of questions for you there, Nan. What do you mean by San Francisco values? What are those exactly? San Francisco values, I got a feeling they're not quite the same as maybe flyover country values. Are you talking about the people who are defecating in the streets, those values? Are you talking about the people who are shooting up drugs in your streets, right there on the street? Those values where there's actually a tour you can take in San Francisco to go and see these sites where people are doing these things in the streets? Are you talking about a crime and lawlessness, Nancy? Are those the values you want to advance in the country? And what is this recovery you're talking about? You want to further our recovery. What recovery? What on earth are you talking about, Nancy? Where is this recovery? Further the recovery. You've got to have a recovery before you can further it. Are you saying you're supporting Trump for re-election? Is that what you're saying? Because that's what we got last time we had him. I don't think that's what she's talking about, but of course, Nancy is just, she's somebody who'll just babble anything and say anything, and guess what, folks? She'll get reelected. Those people in San Francisco, they'll put her right back in office again. She won't be Speaker of the House in all likelihood, but then again, who knows? But yeah, she's running again. Hey, Nancy, let me tell you what I think about you running for office again. Does that ring any bells with anybody? I want to introduce you now to the guy who has the worst rug in Congress, and unfortunately, he's from the state of Alabama. His name is Mike Rogers. Can you get a shot of that? Can you look at this? Get a shot of that. Is that not the worst rug you have ever seen in your life? Dude, let it go. Take that thing off and just let it go. Just be the bald-headed guy that we all know you are. I mean, that is one bad wig. This guy is Mike Rogers. He's a congressman. I hate to say this, but he's from Alabama. I don't know if you'll remember or not, but when they were having such protracted re-election of the Speaker of the House, right now, good Lord, his name escapes me, Kevin McCarthy. And they kept nominating. There was like a few members of Congress who were trying to block the nomination of McCarthy as Speaker of the House. And they kept nominating other people. And old Wiggy here, he got upset and he went to, I think it was Matt Gaetz, and he just really tried to bully him around and say, hey, you need to get it in gear and vote for McCarthy, who eventually, of course, got back into office. But I'm bringing up Mike Rogers because he made the news this past week. U.S. Representative Mike Rogers Thursday treaded a line between bipartisanship and Republican talking points as the Congress prepares to head back to Washington to avoid a potential government shutdown. Rogers, a Republican who chairs the U.S. Armed Services Committee, told a meeting of the Montgomery Chamber of Commerce Thursdays that House Republicans need to work with, quote, reasonable Democrats, unquote, to pass a spending bill, and blame the far right wing of his party for the holdup. Reasonable Democrat, what is that? Those exist? Where are they? Who is it? And this is what old Mike said. That's what you're going to hear that the whole fuss is about, the far right wing of my party. He said, they're like my kinsfolk. You just can't get rid of them. This is a Republican talking. U.S. lawmakers must pass a government funding bill by September or begin a partial shutdown on October 1st when the next fiscal year begins. I've only got one thing to say about a government shutdown. To quote the great Clint Eastwood as Dirty Harry, go ahead, make my day. Every time we talk about government shutdown, everybody starts to panic in Washington. Oh, we can't have a government shutdown. And I'm thinking, shut it down. Go ahead. It's not going to affect me one way or another. Shut the thing down. Shut it down. It doesn't hurt my feelings one bit, but we just absolutely fly into a panic every time we talk about shutting the government. Oh, we got to do something. We got to pass a bill. But Mike Rogers, he's a standard Republican. We just can't have that. He's got to reach across the aisle and compromise with Democrats. Rogers, who calls himself a pragmatist, said Republicans might need reasonable Democrats to pass the spending bill. Mike, let me ask you a question. What's with this spending bill? Has there ever been such a thing as a cutting bill? Have we ever cut anything? When's the last time we cut anything? We're always talking about passing spending bills. Do they ever cut anything? Do they ever say, no, we're not spending money on that anymore? Does that ever happen? Mike Rogers and Nancy Pelosi, pretty much a lot alike. They'd both panic if we had a government shutdown, and they'd both go for spending bills. Folks, this town, Washington, is so incestuous, and the difference between Democrats and Republicans is so minuscule that you can barely tell it. There's a few Republicans that are worthwhile, but by and large, most of them are like Mike Rogers, who calls himself a pragmatist and is going to go into a panic, into a tizzy, if we can't pass a spending bill. You remember when Republicans used to talk about cutting the budget or budget or balancing the budget? You don't hear that anymore, not from most of them anyway. It's pathetic. Let's move on. How about this? Tucker Carlson did an interview last week with a guy who proclaims that Obama, Lord Obama, is gay. Is anybody shocked by this, by the way? Is anybody surprised to learn that Obama may be gay? Do you think he is? Do you find that questionable? Does it upset you that Tucker would do an interview like that? It doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, this man's life up until the president is shrouded in secrecy and shrouded in mystery. And Obama now, of course, being a former president, although he's still active, you can take that to the bank. Believe me, he's in Washington, and he is very active. There's no question about that. Biden is a puppet, and Obama is somewhat of a puppet master. I believe you can take that to the bank. But the notion that Obama is gay shouldn't surprise anybody. I don't know how you feel about that, but you shouldn't be surprised. At least you shouldn't be surprised by the revelation, if true, that he is gay. Now, here's the question. Does it bother you that Tucker would air an interview with someone who claimed to have, a man who claimed to have sexual relations with Obama? Does that bother you? Do you think, do you cringe a little bit and say, Tucker, you shouldn't really go there. We shouldn't be doing an interview like that. Does that bother you at all? I won't tell you how I feel about it. It doesn't bother me one bit. The more that Tucker can do stuff about this with regard to Lord Obama, the better I like it. You know why? Here's why. Obama is in legacy mode, as all former presidents. They're all now about protecting their legacy, establishing, building their legacy, and protecting it, because they're no longer technically, legally, officially in power. So Obama doesn't want his image tarnished. He doesn't want his legacy tarnished or called into question. So I say anything that can be done to tarnish this man's legacy, I'm all for. I think it's fair game. You better believe Obama would do something that would damage Trump's legacy, could he? So think about it like this. This is a man who hid everything about his past that he possibly could. We really didn't know much about Obama when he came into office. He hid his college transcripts. He hid his birth certificate. He hid his information about his so-called master's degree. He hid his medical records. He hid his sexuality. And he hid his drug use. And his memoirs are a complete and utter fraud. So my view is anything you can do to tarnish the legacy of this fraud of a president, I'm all for. So Tucker, go to town, buddy. If you can expose him as being anything, go for it. Tarnish this man's legacy all that you possibly can, because so many Americans who would actually support this guy if he could run for office again would support him. Why would they support him? Because they believe lies. It's easier to believe lies than to believe the truth. And they get their information from a mainstream media that is completely complicit with the Democrats and with people such as Obama. They are Obama. They are these people. You know, you have to look harder to find the truth. You have to work harder to find the truth. You have to put some effort into it. That's why so many Americans are going to go back willy-nilly to wearing the diaper on their head again. I see them everywhere, even here in Alabama, in the deep South. People going back to the masks. Why? Because they're told in the mainstream media that they need to. They're told on certain radio stations that, yeah, you need to be wearing a mask again, even though, as we know, the masks have no efficacy whatsoever. And in fact, they can actually do damage to you. They can actually attack your health, do bad things for your health. But there's such a segment of Americans that Rush Limbaugh used to refer to correctly as low information voters. These people don't know the truth about Obama. They don't care to know the truth about Obama. They just accept whatever is told them by the mainstream media, by certain religious leaders. They just accept the truth, the lie as a truth, without doing their homework. But that's not you, is it? No, sirree, Bob. My subscribers are sharp people. That's my take on things that are going here on this lovely Monday morning. Hey, listen, give me your comments down below. I would love to hear your take on what I had to say today. Listen, all the relevant links to this channel are down below. Emails, buy me a coffee. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee, you can do that. I got some exciting things coming up. We're working on Patreon, actually, and hopefully we'll get that up in the next few days. Everybody go out there and have a fantastic Monday. I appreciate all of you for being here. This is Trailer Trash Tim, and I will see you tomorrow.